Now, our next work has introduced hundreds of thousands of children to classical music. In the Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra, the composer, Benjamin Britten, takes us on a tour of the orchestra, with each group of instruments taking their turn to show off what they can do. He based the work on a simple hornpipe by Henry Purcell, and it was composed after Britten had been asked to write a score for an educational film. Now, that original film had a very serious and rather staid narration, and it was conducted by Sir Malcolm Sargent.
The sounds in an orchestra are produced in 3 different ways, by the musicians either blowing, scraping, or banging. Well, first of all, let's hear them all together.
Well, that was the original version, but we're going to hear the work with a brand new commentary written by award-winning poet Wendy Cope, and I'm delighted to say that Wendy joins me now. Wendy,
hello.
What made you take this on?
Well, I was asked to. I got an email by someone at my publishers from Edward Blakeman at the BBC asking if I was interested in doing it. And my heart leapt. I was very pleased to be asked. I get offered various commissions, and I don't always say yes. And sometimes I think, no, this is not for me. Someone else could probably do it better. But actually, when I got this one came through, I thought I am the right person to do this. Because I'm interested in classical music and I like Britten, but even more because I was a teacher for a long time, and when I was working in primary schools, I did a lot of music teaching. So, helping children to be interested in music and enjoy music is something very important to me, and so this just seemed a very good commission for me.
And how have you changed the commentary? What have you done to it?
Well, for one thing, it's in verse now. I mean, it rhymes. In some ways, it's very. What I've tried to do is include the information that was in the original commentary about, what's going to happen. Because it seemed to me, that that's what it had to do, really. But there's a sort of introductory poem, and there's one at the end, and there's a few in the middle that introduce the different groups of instruments. But there were certain constraints, and one was time. It couldn't be too long, because this programme is quite long enough already, right? So it couldn't be too long. So I've managed to name all the instruments in the different sections, except when it got to the percussion. There are so many percussion instruments. And, it couldn't be longer. So I just had to have a couple of lines saying, I'm sorry, I haven't got room for all of these.
But there's also something very special, isn't there, about being here on a night like this, in this sort of atmosphere with all this noise and mayhem and excitement, because you're going to get your commentary and this new version out to so many new people.
I was very excited about it being for the last night of the proms, because I've been to it a few times. My mother used to go in for the ballot, and so I came a couple of times as a teenager, and the last time I came I was in my 20s. I was going through a very left-wing phase, and I definitely wasn't going to join in the patriotic songs, but when, of course, the time came, it's absolutely irresistible, and all my left-wing principles went out of the window. So it's an event that I love, and I often watch it on television, and that was very exciting that it was for the last night of the proms, yeah.
Well, we're looking forward to it very much indeed. Jenny Agutter is going to be doing the narration.
Right, yes, well, I heard her in rehearsal. She was great, yeah.
Well, we are going to be, we're waiting now for the conductor to come onto the stage. In fact, he's there.
Piano.
They've moved things, they're getting everything ready for the Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. It's a marvellous work, isn't it?
It is. I mean, I was at the rehearsal this morning, and it's so stirring, especially the last section. It's a really stirring piece and perfect for this occasion.
Well, I think we can see from the stage that we are close to being ready for this new version of Britten's Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra. That's the leader, Andrew Havron, just helping the orchestra tune up there. And Wendy, we know you as a very humorous poet. Are there any jokes in this?
There's a couple of jokes. I hope it'll get a couple of laughs. We'll see.
Excellent. Well, we're looking forward to it very much indeed as the party continues at this last night of the proms. My thanks to Wendy Cope. I do hope you enjoyed this performance as much as we will. There's Jenny Agutter to narrate Wendy's new commentary, and with her, Edward Gardner to perform Britten's Young Person's Guide to the Orchestra with the BBC Symphony Orchestra.
Our distant ancestors who lived in caves experimented with the sounds of stones and pebbles, shells and sticks and gourds and bones, and heard the music of the wind and waves. Eon followed eon. Here we are. We've learned a lot about the different ways to make exciting sounds, and nowadays we've all the riches of the orchestra. Percussion. You can bang or brush or tap. Instruments with strings to pluck or bow, and some, the woodwind and the brass, to blow. Each with a clever woman or a chap who practiced for long hours year after year while they were growing up. Their dedication deserves our gratitude and admiration, and I suggest you give them all a cheer. The poem's nearly over. Now they'll play a lovely tune by Henry Purcell, who was English. And a great composer too. Long dead, still entertaining us today. First, you'll hear it played by all the team, 4 groups of instruments together, then each group will play the melody again. You'll go out humming Henry Purcell's theme. In turn, will play a variation on Purcell's theme to help you learn, enjoy your education. Woodwind are the first to go, the flute and then the piccolo, the oboes and the clarinets. Then everyone sits back and lets the big boys have a chance to show what they can do. Bassoons, they're low.
Thank you.